Do you ever feel like you're just drowning in information? Wanting to grasp what's really key without getting totally bogged down.
Yeah, like needing the core stuff, clear and simple.
Exactly. And that's what we do here. We tackle a complex topic, and today, that's the recent congressional hearing on UAPs. We're using the actual transcripts.
And we pull out the essentials, the things you really need to know.
Think of this as your shortcut. We're here to help you navigate it all, make sense of it.
Your guides through the info maze, basically.
So yeah, today's deep dive,
Hmm.
that congressional hearing on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, what did they actually say? And maybe more importantly, why should it matter to you?
And it's interesting, right off the bat, they talked about the stigma, how this topic's been kind of laughed off for years.
For decades, really. But there seems to be a real push now, a shift towards more openness. That's why this hearing felt kind of significant.
Absolutely. And this interest, it's not just one political party or even just the U.S. It seems, well, pretty widespread, maybe even global. The opening remarks kind of touched on that.
And the people testifying, not just random folks. You had Dr. Avi Loeb, he's a Harvard scientist, runs the Galileo Project.
Right.
Yeah.
And Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, former head of NOAA, Navy oceanographer background.
And Dr. Eric Davis, a physicist who's consulted for some serious DoD programs in the past. These are credible people.
And they weren't paid to be there. That's worth pointing out. They're testifying. It kind of underlines they think this is important, that we need more clarity.
Okay, so let's dig into some of the main things they brought up. Maybe start with Dr. Loeb. He kind of set the stage, talking about seeing things in the sky we just can't explain right now.
Yeah, he used this analogy, like he said, our scientific knowledge is like a tiny island in an ocean of ignorance.
Makes you think.
And he compared it to dark matter, Something scientists accept makes up most of the universe, but we still don't fully get it. It's accepted as a valid scientific pursuit, though.
Right. So Loeb's point was, if we spend billions studying dark matter, why not put serious resources, maybe $1 billion, he suggested, into figuring out UAPs, using AI on sensor data, that sort of thing.
And he argued, look, whatever we find, it's useful. If it's human tech, great. Better surveillance for the military.
Okay.
But if even one turns out to be, from outside our solar system, well, that's Nobel Prize territory, a massive discovery.
Now, Lowe also challenged that old saying, extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. How so?
Well, he suggested, given the sheer size of the universe, how many stars are way older than our sun, maybe the idea of other intelligent life isn't actually that extraordinary.
Right. He's saying statistically, it's not far-fetched. Life could develop elsewhere under similar conditions.
So looking for UAPs isn't some wild goose chase. It's a logical scientific question. We just need, solid, regular evidence.
Makes sense. Then you had Rear Admiral Gallaudet. His testimony about the USS Roosevelt incidents back in 2013, 2014, that was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah. What did he say? He basically described dysfunction within the bureaucracy when it came to pilots reporting these things. Hesitancy, maybe fear of ridicule.
Back to that stigma problem.
Exactly. And what really stood out was his claim that the Navy has, and I quote, a trove of video evidence and data, FLIR footage, other sensor data.
A trove? So...
A lot of it, apparently. And he argued, look, a lot of this could probably be declassified. Let scientists see it, try to figure it out.
Why isn't it being shared then?
Good question. He even mentioned this specific folder on classified Navy systems, nicknamed range fowlers, just full of FLIR clips of UAP sightings. It suggests this wasn't just a one-off thing.
Wow. So the data might exist, but it's locked up. Gallaudet himself sounded frustrated by that, right? The lack of openness, potential safety risks maybe being ignored.
Yeah, definitely frustration there.
Okay, now, Dr. Eric Davis. He came at it from a different angle, physics, advanced propulsion.
Right, and he'd been involved with government programs like ATIP, the ones looking into UAPs.
And his big claim, well, it was pretty big. He said he has information about the government actually recovering UAP craft, crashed or landed ones.
Yeah, he was careful how he worded it. He acknowledged it was sensitive, classified stuff.
But he described this, what did he call it, a legacy program?
Yeah, supposedly a long-running, super-secret program studying these recovered objects.
Kept hidden from Congress. How?
He suggested things like shell companies, hiding money trails, using internal R&D funds to avoid direct oversight, maybe even using presidential emergency directives.
That sounds intense, a whole hidden structure.
If true, yes. It implies secrecy way beyond typical classified projects.
But the real bombshell from Davis was his statement about what these craft are.
Go on.
He stated pretty directly they're not from Earth, not made by human hands. He used the term alien technology.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a statement to make in a congressional hearing.
For sure. He did add a caveat, saying we don't know the why, the motives. That needs different kinds of experts.
It's crucial to remember, though, this is his claim, based on what he says he knows.
Yeah.
It's still a claim needing, well, actual evidence out in the open.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It needs verification. Admiral Gallaudet also mentioned UAPs operating underwater too, right? Not just in the air.
Yeah, these transmedium objects. He called for expanding ocean mapping to specifically look for UAP activity down there too.
So we might be missing part of the picture by only looking up.
Could be. If they move between air and water, we need eyes everywhere.
Thinking ahead, Dr. Loeb had a message for, the next generation of scientists.
Oh, yeah.
He basically encouraged them to tackle this topic with fresh eyes, without the baggage, the stigma from the past.
That's really key, isn't it? Science needs that open-mindedness, that willingness to follow the evidence wherever it leads. He thinks they could make real breakthroughs. Okay, now, let's talk about that moment with Lou Elizondo. That was kind of weird, right? The photograph.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Elizondo, known for his UAP work, shows this picture he says he just got that morning from a civilian pilot. But he couldn't confirm if it was real.
Exactly. He made that clear, said he couldn't vouch for it. He described it as, a big silver thing, maybe 600 to 1,000 feet across, taken to 21,000 feet.
So why show it then if it wasn't verified?
His stated reason was to use it as an example of the kind of reports civilian and commercial pilots are apparently making, but that often go nowhere.
So connecting to the lack of a clear reporting system for non-military pilots.
Precisely. He was suggesting Congress might not realize how often this stuff is supposedly happening because there's no official channel to collect it all.
Which ties back to Gallaudet's point about the Navy having data but not sharing it. It suggests a broader problem of unreported, unanalyzed sightings.
A potential blind spot, yeah. Even if that specific photo wasn't verifiable, the point he was making about reporting gaps seemed relevant to the hearing's themes.
All right, so taking all this in, how does any of this actually connect to, everyday people, our modern lives? Chris Mellon talked about this, right, from a national security angle.
Yeah, Mellon painted a pretty stark picture. He basically argued our airspace might be worryingly vulnerable.
Vulnerable how? To UAPs? Or something else?
Both, potentially. He suggested we might be, and this was his phrase, effectively naked against aerial threats, not just advanced UAPs, but maybe even sophisticated drones.
Naked. That sounds bad. Did he give examples?
He did. He mentioned Langley Air Force Base, where F-22s, our top fighters, apparently had to relocate temporarily because of repeated UAP activity over the base.
Seriously, they had to move the jets.
That was his testimony. And another one in Guam, 2018. Small, bright objects, apparently buzzing an expensive missile defense system, shining lights on it. Clear security risks, he argued.
Okay, that feels more concrete than just weird lights.
And Mellon linked these airspace failures directly to commercial aviation safety. Think about that pilot photo Elizondo showed, even if unverified. If pilots are seeing things regularly and there's no system.
That's a potential collision risk, isn't it? If something unexpected is flying around in your passenger planes.
That's the implication. A lack of awareness and reporting could be a safety issue.
And then there was the tech angle. Anna Brady has talked about potential breakthroughs.
Right. If we could understand how some of these reported UAPs work, assuming the reports of advanced capabilities are accurate, she pointed towards, like advanced materials, maybe totally new energy sources.
So even if we don't know what they are, studying them might lead to revolutionary tech. Stuff like weird gravity effects, new materials, energy, things that could change transportation, power, everything.
That's the potential upside being hinted at. Exploring the unknown, even something as strange as UAPs, can sometimes lead to unexpected, game-changing discoveries. That was her perspective from the advanced tech world.
Okay, last big question then. Why do it? Why would these people, Loeb, Gallaudet, Davis, testify, put their necks out, risk their reputations like they mentioned at the start?
It seems the main drivers were, one, a push for transparency, getting the stuff out of the shadows, and two, genuine national security concerns.
They think it's important enough to risk the blowback.
Apparently so. They seem to believe understanding this, whatever this is crucial.
And what are the hoped-for benefits? If we get more transparency, more research?
Well, improved air safety is a big one. Better reporting, better analysis, like Admiral Gallaudet and Ryan Graves are pushing for with Americans for safe aerospace.
Makes sense. Safer skies for everyone.
Then there's the science Dr. Loeb talked about. Just fundamental understanding, maybe huge technological leaps, plus the defense angle, knowing if another country has tech public, we don't.
Right, avoiding technological surprise.
And just informing Congress, informing the public about something potentially significant that's been hidden maybe for decades. That seemed like a core goal for all of them.
And didn't Kirk McConnell mention whistleblowers needing better protection?
Yeah, making it safer for people inside the system who might have crucial information to come forward without fearing retaliation. That's seen as vital for getting the truth.
And getting mainstream science involved, like Gallaudet wanted.
Crucial. Taking it out of the fringe, making it a legitimate area for rigorous study. And Bradyasts pointed to potential economic benefits down the line if any advanced tech is understood and harnessed. Space tech, energy, bio.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the hearing really put a lot on the table. Concerns about unidentified objects, potential security gaps, a big need for better data and analysis.
And that tantalizing, maybe distant possibility of revolutionary discoveries or technologies.
Our aim here was just to break it down, give you the clearer picture, the key insights from what was actually said.
Hope we managed to cut through some of the complexity for you.
So as you chew on all this, here's something to think about. Given everything you've heard today, what do you reckon is the most crucial next step for actually understanding UAPs? And how might figuring this out, really getting a handle on what's in our skies, change your view of the world, or maybe even the future?
Yeah, definitely something to ponder. Stay curious, keep asking questions. This story feels like it's far from over.
I would have been on top of the charts, but it's politics. You do some gimmick shit and post, you get a lot of clicks. Drop some real shit and they probably won't acknowledge you.